Let's talk about AI and design. Today, we're going to start off talking about the space as a whole and just my thoughts on a couple things. And then we're going to look at how I'm using AI to generate designs that actually look good. And then, especially for those new here, we're going to look at how we can use AI to check our designs for things like spacing issues, variable issues, and more. Let's rock and roll. Quick before we begin, if you're a big fan of myself and what we're doing here at UI Collective, consider checking out the Academy on our website. I'll put a link for that in the description, where you get access to a bunch of great courses, private Slack channel access with me and the team, some great downloads, and a whole lot more currently in progress as well. And even if you don't want to join the Academy, it's free for all to join the community, where you can ask any question in our community forum and get access to some great savings, some great free resources, and a whole lot more is on the way as well. So whether you want to join the Academy, you just want to join the community, hope to see you online. I'll put a link to our website in the description. AI in design. How am I using AI in my design workflow in 2026 so far? Now, what's unique about this series and this video is I'm going to try to keep it a little more focused to like UI design, UX design, because I already have a series of videos on like AI design systems and vibe coding for designers. So this is the first video of a new series where I focus on AI in UI, more specific to user interface and user experience. Now, this is an evolving series. This is a growing space. As new tools come out, I will release more videos covering concepts that I find useful, but I really wanted to just cover at a high level how I am using AI in my actual UI design workflow so far in 2026 right now. Now, what can AI not do, or at least not do well? So what AI cannot do is build Figma pages that actually look good. Figma Make is so far from perfect, and Figma AI is just simply not worth it. Figma's AI tools, I honestly would have expected way more from them in this space. I'm sure they're working on things behind the scenes, but where, tools like Lovable and stuff are kind of making a lot of progress with AI, Figma seems to be falling behind a little bit. We all have used Figma Make. We've all used Figma AI. We know that the output really isn't that great. It can't build an interactive prototype that matches your design system. Building interactive demos that look good takes a lot of prompting that most people do not have time for. It's not as easy as connecting a design system and using AI to build with that design system. Figma Make makes an attempt at it, but as I would have looked at in a couple other videos, it's the output's just not there. It doesn't have an understanding of the variable setup. It doesn't have a full grasp of the componentry that's in your design system. It doesn't really give you like a concept that's worth sharing to really anyone. And what AI cannot do, it can't replace a designer. Maybe eventually, but not right now. Now, if you're someone who's worried about, okay, is AI going to replace me? Think about how long ChatGPT has been around for, and companies are still hiring for communications roles. They're more interested on, can you orchestrate AI, than looking at you as if you're going to be absolutely replaced by AI. Sure, like it might be a little more tricky to get hired in a design role, as it is with software engineering now. But even now, still with like Claude Code and everything like that, companies are still hiring for software engineers. So AI cannot replace a designer, at least not yet. There are a lot of tools out there that will say they'll build production-ready designs with AI. Don't trust them, at least not yet. It's more of a marketing ploy than it is an actual output that I'm comfortable sharing with everyone here and introducing you to. So where the tools like, we'll build designs with your design system with AI, one-shot prompts, any type of, Figma design, they're just not there. Like these tools, they don't follow robust design system guidelines, meaning the editability of them is a little bit rough. They can't be imported to Figma, or these tools might have a Figma plugin where you can import from their tool into Figma, but it doesn't work well. Like auto layout isn't applied. The colors that they use don't translate into variables, meaning that your pages are going to need to be like rebuilt from the ground up anyway. So what even is the purpose of using these tools? And ultimately, they just produce very junior level designs. Like if it's not something I would be willing to show a client, then what's the point of even me paying, $100 a month for some of these tools? Like one thing I want to show you in this video is one of the AI tools that actually does produce very high level designs that I haven't covered in the past. But, for me in this space, like I want AI to speed things up. I don't want it to give me a very junior level design that looks very cookie cutter to all the other AI tools out there, because I'm not going to show a client. I'm not going to work with it. It's just inspiration at that point. Like I don't really see the purpose. Now, I will be monitoring these tools, and if I find value, I'm going to let you know right away. Like, you would be surprised about how many companies reach out to me, startup companies, companies that have been around for a while, asking to sponsor a vid because they have an AI design tool or wanting me to promote their tool in one of my videos. But when I try out the tool or the plugin or whatever, I'm like, it's cool, but I wouldn't introduce it in my actual workflow. So if I'm not going to use it in my actual design workflow, I'm not going to share with you here for the purposes of sharing. Like, I want this to be super valuable. Now, in an ideal world, I want to be able to generate something quick, show a client or stakeholder for initial feedback, and then build it in Figma. And if one day Figma is able to do all of this, perfect, makes life easy. But right now we're somewhere in this weird phase where you can generate something quick, but to get it to a point where you're willing to show it to a client or stakeholder, it takes a heck of a lot of prompting and a heck of a lot of iterations. Now, one of the tools I've been working with very recently, again, that we're going to get to very shortly, is it produces a much better output the very first try, to the point where I actually have been able to take that and show it to a client or stakeholder in a far less amount of time than I would have with some of these other tools where I have to sit there and keep prompting through it. Now, this is what I'm looking for in an ideal world. So from a UI design perspective, what am I using AI for right now? The answer is not much, because AI hasn't progressed to the point where you can start to build out all of these high quality user interfaces with just a prompt. It's not like Claude Code where you can type it up and get a bunch right away, what doesn't need a whole lot of iteration. AI in design is not there yet, okay? But there are some things that I'm using for in my current workflow. So what am I using AI for right now from a UI design perspective? The first is I actually started using Google Antigravity to generate sort of web ideas and spin up actual web views that look good. You're going to see what I mean when we get to this and talk about some logistics of using Google Antigravity and why it's way better. But if you were to compare the output, which we will, from a Google Antigravity output to a Figma Make output using the same prompts, it's a night and day difference. And, I was working with one marketing agency who's like, they're really close friends of mine anyway. And they were like telling me, it's like, we've used Google Antigravity to spin up these web like designs super quickly. So I'm not just preaching it for the sake of like this video, but there's actually value in it, which is why I'm including it. And then very similar to, as I will have covered in other videos, is actually reviewing my designs for mistakes. Not mistakes like, oh, is my UX flow wrong? But, oh, your colors are broken here. This is off. The spacing's off. It helps make sure that my designs are actually consistent. Now, we're going to look at a simplified view for this of what I've covered in other videos for like a more holistic prompt to not break everything out. But very similar to what I've covered in other videos, but we're still going to go through it again today. So let's look at Google Antigravity. Now, it's more of a technical tool, but we as designers, like, we can still use it. Like, we don't need to be technical in order to fully understand what's going on, because we're still able to get a really great output. Now, it's best used strictly for concepts, not for prototypes or producing designs you can translate into Figma. But again, the concepts that you get, way better than anything Figma Make can produce. Because we know that Figma Make is incredibly ineffective. The designs are not great. The designs are not responsive, at least not always. And they look the same as, generating designs on every other possible tool that's out there. There's nothing really unique about Figma Make, but there is something unique about Google Antigravity. So what Antigravity allows me to do is actually spin up client designs in minutes that are actually worth showing. It's got like a way better method of generating designs and actually working with you, where it goes through and asks you to like confirm an implementation plan, confirm all the details before it starts building everything. And what's cool about it is you can actually see how it's working and building the design in the browser. It's pretty cool. I'll show you. It builds mobile responsive designs by default. So I can show how the designs interact on like web if I was to condense it down and condense it back up. It allows me to iterate faster than like other standard AI tools. Now, I've used this a couple times for like some more high level concepts, which is why I'm introducing it to you, is because I actually found value in it. And there's an agency that I know that I believe I referenced a little bit earlier on in this video, who I'm pretty close friends with. They live and die by Google Antigravity. Their output in terms of being able to get clients iterations and designs right away, it's like their output's gone up like 50-fold because they're able to spin up mocks in like a 100th of the time. Now, to show you the power of Google Antigravities, I want to give you something to compare it to. So we're going to work with Figma Make to start. So what I had ChatGPT is just give me like a Figma Make prompt for a futuristic landing page. So it gave me a style, layout, navigation, visual elements, and the whole bit. So let's go ahead, let's copy this, and then bring this into Figma Make. We're going to run the same prompt on Figma Make and then also Antigravity. Just go ahead, enter in our prompt here. And again, this is empty Figma Make space. And just enter that, and let's see what it comes back with. So this is what it came back with. It gave me like an okay result, but not a great result, and not something that I could share with the client right away because it just feels and looks AI generated. Like this here is too close to the top. I'm not too sure if I'm a big fan of some of these colors here. This section looks a little basic. This section's okay. I do like the hover effect treatments. But then we see this here, where it's like, I'm not too sure what this is. This is almost like a full page photo with like these small little widgets over top. Like this would have to be ripped out and completely redone entirely. Basic section, I think if the alignment here is off, I would probably like to see this H1 left aligns, trusted by teams. I think this could be way closer to the top, developers, decent CTA, and a footer. Like the result, it's okay. But again, this isn't something that you would want to show a client right away. Now let's switch over to Antigravity and you run the same prompt and see what result we get. Or just go to antigravity.google. I'll put a link for it in the description, just for easy access. And just go through the process of downloading it. Like I believe you will have to connect with a Gmail account of some sort. But other than that, it's a relatively free tool. Again, you can upgrade to Pro for higher rate limits as with Cursor, but it's a very similar tool to Cursor, as you might have seen with some of our other videos. So go through and download it. Here we are within Google Antigravity. So we're just going to enter in that exact same prompt here. Again, demo is just the name of the folder that I'm working within anyways. And we're going to enter this, see what it comes back with. Now, one thing I'm going to review with you as well a little bit soon is like why Google Antigravity works a little bit better than using tools like Cursor and other IDEs that might be able to generate you, also some high quality concepts. Now, before it generates a design, it wants to confirm the task list and implementation plan, where how it's going to do it, the colors that it's using, the typography that it's using, asking you to confirm a lot of these features. And you can notice it even broke out the prompt into a specific task list. Like I didn't ask it to do this. I did not build this myself, where it's like, okay, phase 1, we need to focus on the core layout in the hero. Then we need to focus on the content sections, then the social and footer, and then the polish and the animation, and then verification. So it's going to be doing its own QA. This is how designers, we build things. We start with the top, with the layout, the hero. We work our way down the page. So it's thinking like a designer, where if I take that same prompt and upload it to Cursor, it's just going to give me something. It's not dialoguing with me, asking me to confirm some of these details to make sure that the output it gives is best first try. And what's cool about Antigravity is you can see it sort of build out the design in real time, add different modules, add different widgets, test the responsiveness of mobile, which is something that other tools just don't do. Like this opens up a Chrome browser and starts to test things on your behalf. But look at the difference. Now, sure, there's some things that need to be cleaned up. Like the top bar can be cleaned up. The logo is a little off on color. But look at how much more real life this feels than what Figma Make gave us. And if I don't know if you can see it on the resolution, but there's actually a background grid pattern here. It's not just like a boring gradient. As we scroll down, this is a little bit of a different section, a little bit more unique. We would need to have some prompting here just to improve the spacing, but that's normal for AI tools. The output's never going to be perfect first time. And instead of what Figma Make gave us, where it just gave us like that, image with just like points on it, which was so weird, it gave us like this actual real life platform feel. It has like interactions on the screen. This is something where I could, with a little bit more prompting, take to a client and show them right away to get their thoughts and their feedback. What Figma Make gave us cannot do that. Now, as I said, Antigravity will also test things out on mobile, where if I actually just collapse this down, notice how good this looks and feels still on mobile. And this is different than a bunch of other tools out there, where it produces something that looks good on desktop. When you condense it down on mobile, there's all these issues that are with it. Now, sure, there's still some spacing issues here, but again, those can get cleaned up in relatively simple prompts. But being able to go from what we see here to something fully ready that I'm able to show a client, I'm able to show a stakeholder, I'm able to show my boss. It's really just a couple prompts to clean up some of the spacing issues. It's not a complete entire rework of the design like Figma Make would be. So whereas other tools, even like Cursor and other things, they just output a desktop. It's not always responsive out of the box on mobile. What Antigravity produces is always responsive on mobile, so I can show the design on desktop and also on different device sizes too. Now, one other thing I'd like to call out is it kind of like went its own way with some of the information that was in the prompt, and it's likely just due to the fact that the prompt was like illy structured. It was very vague with a lot of things. Like I know it called out specific gradients and things, but I think it's just the resolution that you might not be able to see it, but there's a very soft, like black gray gradient in the background. So some of these things might be hard to see that were in that initial prompt, but for the most part, it did also kind of go its own way and the way that would like make the most sense to produce a good result, which at the same time too is kind of what we want. Sure, we can provide a very specific prompt, but if that prompt isn't going to generate a really good result, I'd actually rather prefer the AI start to introduce some things. So that is why prompting is also really important, because every time I've ran Antigravity, I don't always get beautiful results like this. It's easier to get beautiful results like this in Antigravity, but it's not like out of the box. You get something that's super crazy. There is going to still be some work that is involved. Now, I built what I just showed you with Gemini 3 Pro as the model. Now, one thing you might be saying is like, oh, Kirk, but like you use Gemini 3 Pro. It's already a pretty good model. But when I opened up Cursor and provided it the exact same prompt, also using Gemini 3 Pro, and then Cursor being another AI-powered IDE that you've probably seen in some of our other videos, look at the result that it gave me. This is almost Figma Make level quality. It's still better than Figma Make, but it's not the same level of quality that I'd be looking for. So I took the output that Figma Make gave us and the output that Antigravity gave us side by side, and I'll let you be the judge here. Because the one that Figma Make gave us looks AI generated. It's not something I can show a client, but the one that Antigravity gave us is something I could actually show someone and it not look as if I just, generated it with a simple prompt. It actually took time to actually build it. Now, hopefully you can see how powerful the tool Antigravity is for us designers to build these really high quality concepts to whether show a client or screenshot, bring it into Figma and recreate in Figma if we really need the designs there. So it's a tool I highly recommend that you checking out in order to speed up your design workflow, get some iteration done with high quality concepts and a whole lot more. Now, how else do I use AI in my current UI design workflow right now? I use AI to check my designs inside of Figma using Figma MCP for any errors in my designs. Not necessarily feedback around like widgets, because that's a whole nother story that I want to get to in a future video, but issues with spacing, inconsistencies with my variable uses, inconsistencies with my padding or gap. Makes life easy, so I don't need to go through prior to handing off my designs to developers and check all these little things. AI can actually do that for me in about 30 seconds. Now, I have a full video on this, like Figma AI audit. Again, I'll put a link for this in the description. I released it like last week. And I know if you've already been here at UI Collective for a while, this might be a little bit repetitive, but this is a concept and skill that every designer should know about, because it takes like no time at all to set up, and it will save you hours and hours and hours manually looking through your designs to identify any issues. This is a skill that should be in every single designer's pocket. So I'm going to cover it in an even more simplified approach than what I've done in other videos, where we'll be able to look at everything all through the lens of like one rule and then one command. So we don't need to call separate commands. So it's a little bit of a more simplified approach than I might have covered in other videos. But let's take a look at that. So to do this, we're going to be using Cursor. You can use Google Antigravity if you want. There's ways to do it. It's basically relatively the same. It's just another technical tool, but I just like using Cursor. So it doesn't matter what tool you're using. I like using Cursor. So if you're new here, you can go to cursor.com and just download Cursor and then navigate to the Figma MCP catalog. And I'll put a link for this also in the video description, because what we need to do is we need to connect one of those AI development platforms, whatever it is, whether it's Windsurf, Google Antigravity, Cursor, to Figma, so that the AI can actually understand and read those Figma designs. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to connect Figma to MCP, to Cursor via MCP. So navigate down to Cursor and just hit add MCP to cursor. Again, once you have cursor installed and opened. Now in cursor here, and what it's going to do when you hit open cursor, you're going to see this just install MCP server with this Figma stuff preloaded. Hit install. And now you're going to see that it's going to need authentication. Just go ahead, hit connect. Then you're going to hit agree and allow access. And then just like that, AI is now ready to read your designs and understand your design file. All right, now let's build the reusable command and build the rule, which is going to inform the command. If that doesn't make sense, bear with me. Now, I do know if you've been here with us for a while, this might be a little bit repetitive because I have covered this concept in other videos. So if that's you, I apologize, but I just need to make the assumption that most people are seeing this for the very, very first time. All right, so come up here to settings and come down here to rules, skills, and subagents. And we're going to add a rule. And this is going to be the rule. It's going to house the guidelines that's going to inform the command. So come down here, hit project rule, and then just type anything. Just call it like design check, and then just put anything here. Sorry, not AAA, like ... just because they're going to give us a little bit of a better format in order to enter in this rule. So you can see that rule is created in what's called like a .mdc file. So now we can go ahead and add in the rule that's going to inform the command, which is going to be how the AI is going to interpret our design. So I just added in a brief description here, so you did not need to watch me type it, but you're always going to need a description for your rule. So for this one, it just looks at Figma designs to enforce spacing scale, variable usage, and background token requirements and other foundational items. So I do have some notes here on the left-hand side, but we're going to go through this together. So starting out with spacing, essentially we're just defining what the rules are for the designs that we're going to want to audit. And again, you can take this into so many different directions. A lot of other videos that I filmed in the past, what would actually happen is like I would break a lot of these rules out, but we are going to focus on building it all within one rule and one command for now. So all outer margins must be 16 pixels. So essentially that's the space around the page must be 16 pixels. Internal spacing must use spacing variables. No raw values. So essentially what this is saying is that all internal spacing needs to have a variable applied to it. There cannot be any case where there's not a variable applied on your spacing scale, because that's going to like make sure that your designs are really consistent. And then allowed spacing scales, 4, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and then 48. So those are all the values that are allowed for spacing on our design. So things like it can be gap, it can be padding. Like this is where you can sort of take this on your own to define what this really looks like. And then, we can even get it specific as like backgrounds. So backgrounds, page backgrounds must use the surface page variable. Card backgrounds must use surface default variable because it's one. Sorry, this one should say variable 2. And then footer backgrounds must use surface secondary. So this is where you can kind of define with the use case for these. If you watch some of our other videos on audit, I sort of talked about how you can take some of the items that you do have in maybe your design system and upload it here. So it actually builds the rule for you, but we're not going to get into that for now. And then variables. And then in terms of variables, so all spacing, colors, radius, border widths, and typography must reference variables. Raw values are violations, and then detached values are also violations. And beautiful. So essentially what we just did here is we just at a high level documented the rule that we're going to want our AI to follow when it looks at our designs. Now you can take this and really customize it, supercharge it, add a ton of different information, break these things up into different rules as I might have done in other tutorials. We're going to keep it high level for now. And now that we have this rule out of the way, let's go ahead and make sure that's saved. And now we'll build a command that we can reuse to check our Figma designs for issues. Sorry, my mic cut out there, but you didn't miss anything. So come down back to rule skills and subagents, because now we want to create the command. Again, this is just under like our cursor settings here, and hit project command. And let's just call it design check command. There we go. So now we can go ahead and actually write the command that's going to, analyze our design while it references the rule. If that doesn't make sense, stay with me. So we can treat our command as like a step-by-step. So step one, again, have notes here just to reference so I don't lead you astray. Load or understand, all provided Figma pages. And then two, walk yourself through every frame, component, and style entry. Three, for each item, understand the spacing, background, type, and variable reference. So whenever I'm working with AI, what I like it to do is I tell it to sort of understand the landscape. Like, don't just start analyzing things. Take time to actually look at what's there before you go through, because I always find that the output is a little bit better. So I call that like scene setting. So whenever you're building commands, make sure you have this level of scene setting. Then four, compare collected values against what is required. So we don't need to specify the specific rules. The AI is smart enough to understand what's in the rule and be able to compare what's in the rule versus what's actually collected. Don't need to specify much. And then when a mismatch or violation is found, sorry, my mic caught again there, having technical issues today. So when a mismatch or violation is found, record the page, frame, and load, and page, frame name. We'll keep it at page, frame name. Record the current value versus expected value. So what to do when it finds a violation. And then six, after completing, group issues by type and severity. And then seven, provide back in a list just within the chat window. Again, when it comes to the output, what this is providing is the output. When it comes to the output, there's a lot of cool things that you can do, like tell it to create a new page and with a whole matrix around all the issues that are there, create them in a table. You can do all that fun stuff, but we're not going to do that for the purposes of this exercise. I believe in my AI Figma audit video, we go a little bit more in depth with an output like that. So I'll put a link for that below. It's very similar concepts in the grand scheme of things here. But I think our design check command is ready to test just to show you the power of this. So my apologies. I wanted to show the case this on an actual Figma design because it's pretty powerful. But the issue is I'm running into issues with Figma right now where it's super slow. My files aren't loading. So I just created a new file. My apologies. But anyways, the concept is going to be exactly the same. So essentially what I have here, just this base Figma frame where I sort of violated some of the rules where it's the spacing, instead of 16, it's 24 and then 100. The gap here is 28, which isn't one of our allowed values. And we just sort of have raw hex codes applied to the page and the individual mock cards here too. So what we can do now is we can just go ahead, copy a link to this selection, and then go back into Cursor, call the command, and it's going to go through and check everything for us. So now back in Cursor, again, we're on Gemini 3 Pro, but you can really do anything. Let's go Claude. And let's just go with call that command. So design check command. So at that design check command is simply just paste in that Figma file itself. And let's just see what it comes back with. And that's the beautiful thing about commands. They're just reusable like that. I can always just call it, enter in a Figma file. I don't need to provide it any context, anything, because the context is in the rule and in the command itself. So look what it came back with. It came back with a number of violations. It came up with some key action items and the violations for the current value versus expected value and the name of the frame. Most designers look at AI and design as just oh, can it build a design for me? But this alone saves us hours and hours of work. And you can imagine how powerful this idea is if you do it at a much larger scale more in your rules, you can do this on really complex Figma designs. So instead of having to go through component to component, frame by frame, making sure everything's applied, all you have to do is set up the rule, set up the command, and run the command, and AI is going to do the work for you. AI and design is not just about building great designs with AI. It's about taking like the task that we don't want to do and doing it for us. And this is a great example of that. Hey, thanks for watching this one. Again, this is going to be an evolving series on like new tools and techniques that I'm using in my actual design workflow. So be sure to hit subscribe for that. Check out our academy. A link for that will be in the description. But I know I'm small in the left-hand corner here, but if you want to watch a video where we build an entire design system, click in the top left. And if you want to watch another video that I highly recommend, click in the top right. So thanks. See you at the next one.